Your high standards aren't pushing you forward. They're quietly protecting you from ever being truly seen. You've been told your whole life that high standards are a virtue, that they're the difference between average and exceptional, between mediocrity and mastery. So you sharpen them, you raise the bar, you demand more from yourself than anyone else ever could. And on the surface, it looks admirable, disciplined, focused, driven. But here's the uncomfortable question. What if your high standards aren't helping you grow, but actually keeping you stuck? What if the reason you haven't started that project, launched that idea, or fully stepped into your potential isn't because you lack discipline, but because your standards are quietly sabotaging you? Because the truth is, perfectionism doesn't just raise the bar, it moves it every time you get close. And that creates a loop. You prepare, refine, hesitate, and delay, telling yourself it's not ready yet, not good enough yet, not you enough yet. But beneath all of that, there's something far more primal at play. This isn't about excellence. This is about safety.
It usually starts from a good place. You care deeply about your work, your reputation, your identity. You want what you create to reflect who you truly are. And that level of care, it's powerful. But the moment something begins to matter that much, it also becomes vulnerable. Now it's no longer just a task, it's a reflection of you. And suddenly, the stakes feel higher. You're no longer just creating, you're exposing yourself. So what do? You tighten control, you refine endlessly, you delay sharing. You tell yourself you're just being responsible, thoughtful, thorough. But what's really happening is this. Your care has quietly transformed into pressure. And pressure demands perfection. Not because perfection is achievable, but because it feels like protection. If it's perfect, you won't be judged. If it's flawless, you won't be rejected. If it's airtight, you won't be misunderstood. So you raise your standards, not to grow, but to shield yourself.
Perfectionism isn't ambition, it's armor. It's a psychological defense mechanism designed to keep you safe from one thing: inadequacy. Because deep down, there's a fear, subtle but persistent, that maybe you're not enough, not ready enough, not skilled enough, not worthy enough. And instead of confronting that fear directly, your mind does something brilliant. It creates an impossible standard. Because if nothing is ever good enough to be released, you never have to risk being judged. Think about that. If you never publish the work, it can't fail. If you never take the shot, you can't miss. If you never fully show up, you can't be rejected. Perfectionism gives you a reason to hold back while convincing you it's for your own good. It whispers, just one more revision, just a bit more improvement. Wait until you're ready. But ready is a moving target, and perfectionism makes sure you never reach it.
Here's the paradox. Perfectionism pretends to improve your work, but often makes it worse. Why? Because creativity thrives in flow, but perfectionism operates in fear. When you're in flow, there's openness, experimentation, energy. Your work feels alive. But when fear takes over, everything tightens. You overthink, you over-edit, you strip away the rawness that made the work powerful in the first place. You trade authenticity for control. And ironically, the things you obsess over, tiny flaws, minor imperfections, are rarely what others even notice. In fact, people resonate more with what feels real than what feels perfect. But perfectionism blinds you to that truth. It convinces you that polishing equals progress, when in reality, you're just circling the same point, avoiding the leap.
The higher your standards, the longer you wait. You tell yourself you're preparing, improving, getting better. But what you're really doing is delaying exposure. And that delay becomes a cycle. You refine, you hesitate, you doubt, you refine again. Meanwhile, life moves forward, opportunities pass, momentum fades. And the most dangerous part? It feels productive. You're busy, you're working, you're improving. But nothing is actually being released into the world. Because perfectionism doesn't stop you from working, it stops you from finishing. And without finishing, there's no feedback, no growth, no evolution. Just endless preparation for a moment that never arrives. Here's the truth most people avoid. You cannot grow without being seen imperfectly. Every skill you admire in others was built through visible mistakes. No one becomes confident before they begin. No one becomes skilled without trying poorly first. No one becomes ready before they act. Growth is not something you achieve before you start. It's something that happens because you start. But perfectionism reverses that logic. It tells you, become perfect, then begin, which is impossible, because competence is earned through participation, not preparation. You don't think your way into mastery, you act your way into it. And that requires something perfectionism resists at all costs: vulnerability. This isn't just mindset, it's biology. Perfectionism lives in your nervous system. It shows up physically: tension in your body, shallow breathing, a restless urge to fix, improve, control. That's not ambition, that's a stress response. Your system is trying to protect you from perceived danger, judgment, rejection, failure. So it pushes you toward control. But control isn't the solution. Regulation is. When you notice that tightening, that urgency to perfect everything, pause. Breathe into it. Slow it down. Because the antidote to fear isn't more control. It's safety. And safety can be created through small acts of gentleness. Stepping away, letting something be unfinished, allowing yourself to create without fixing. You don't break perfectionism by fighting it. You soften it by making your system feel safe enough to let go. Letting go of high standards doesn't mean lowering your potential. It means removing the barrier between you and your growth. It means allowing yourself to be seen before you feel ready, to create before you feel confident, to act before you feel certain. Because your worth is not determined by the outcome of your work. And the more you tie your identity to perfection, the more you trap yourself inside it. So instead, you shift from perfection to participation, from control to curiosity, from fear to trust. You allow yourself to be messy, experimental, human. And most importantly, you offer yourself kindness when you fall back into old patterns, because you will. But that's not failure.
That's unlearning. And every time you choose to show up imperfectly, you dismantle the very mechanism that's been holding you back.
If this conversation gave you something to think about, a new perspective, or even a small sense of clarity, then this channel is for you. Consider joining this growing community by subscribing and leave a like on the video so more people searching for answers can find these ideas too. Your support keeps these conversations alive. Until the next video, keep reflecting, keep growing, and keep pondering life's journeys.